that boom. Drop that boom.
My favorite part.
So this podcast is not brought to you by BC yet. But if you're with BC, this is the show to sponsor. Because coffee and BC are what keep us alive.
Well, you. I ain't drinking no coffee.
Keeps my blood thin and my heart pumping. Actually, you keep my heart pumping way too much. I always stress, anxiety. Yeah.
Oh.
Randy knows it's true.
Yeah, okay.
You know that guy that said I got 99 problems, but a woman ain't one? He won't marry to a redhead.
I'm trying to catch up over here. Maybe I did.
You're in the mustard.
I should have took a BC so I could catch up.
You're in the mustard. That's your problem. You're in the mustard. BC, before Christ powder. And hey, it's just, I wonder what it really stands for, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah, me too, actually. Does anybody know what BC stands for?
Because,
I mean, I'm sure we could chat GPT it. But,
I'm sure you could.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you know how to use ChatGPT.
Why?
Because you're older than Google. Well, it's true.
We've already had this discussion.
You're older than AOL.
It's coming from the guy that doesn't know how to send a contact. He sends a screenshot of a contact.
Exactly. Thank you.
I get in trouble for that all the time. Brian was like, why didn't you send the contact? I'm like, I don't know how.
Share.
I do share. I share you a screenshot. You and Randy both. Y'all get screenshots.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know how to send calendar attachments either, so I just send dates. I texted Randy yesterday with like 15 dates. I didn't know how to send it off the calendar, so I'm like, we'll do it.
All right, so on this episode of Drop That Boom, what episode are we on, Ryan?
8.
8. Yay. What's significant about the number 8?
A few things, but it's probably the least significant of the top 10 numbers, in all honesty. So, I mean, 8 has a lot of significance, but the biblical ramifications of 8 is not as strong as anything else in the Bible. But, when you look at 4 is times 2, which you send everybody out 2 by 2, and then, you got 4 seasons, and 4 is the number of earth, and 4 times 2 is 8, and then, 8 times 10, which 10 is the complete number, is 80, and Moses was in the desert 40 years and 40 years, and so 8 plays a lot of significance in bigger numbers, but.
Okay.
All
right.
And 18, 10 plus 8, the number, the complete number versus 8, that's the age of adulthood in America.
All right. So on this episode of Drop That Boom. Who do we have, Ronnie?
You got somebody? Oh, Randy. My fault.
Just
I forgot we had Randy Kerr.
Me.
That runs
a podcast.
Well, it ain't just that. No, first off, Randy is a business owner.
He is a business owner.
Has a huge business in the construction field. What exact field?
Utilities.
Granite
Construction Services.
Yep.
Okay.
So he runs that. Got some really cool hats. And then he runs a podcasting service and business consulting firm, which is how we met him.
That's right.
Because I came to him for help. Because I'm like, look, bro, I got this crazy wife, and she wants to get on a podcast, and I don't know what to do. And he's like, I got you.
Crazy.
But he's also now, and I'll be honest, specializing in Meta, Facebook, Instagram. Like, he has learned it all. Like, Randy can help you with just about anything. He got us remonetized on Instagram. He got us remonetized on Facebook. He got us hooked up with YouTube. So Randy does all the business consulting, advertising, and he even knows how to value your business and help you sell it.
Yeah. That's pretty freaking awesome.
That way you don't stay broke, which,
right.
by the way, is the name of his podcast.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Unless you're married to a redhead, and then there's no help for you. Just letting you know.
So, obviously, he's going to say this whole time that everything is who he's married to's fault.
Not everything. I mean, there were a few things that weren't your fault. Some of them are your mama's.
We are not going with the yo mama jokes. Let me go ahead and shut you down right now.
I won't make it a joke. I'm just saying she birthed you, so some
But
of them are her
anyway,
fault.
apparently, I actually just found out that Randy also used to be a former youth pastor.
Still ordained
Yes.
at a Methodist church.
And
Ran
what,
the youth
where
organization.
Down near the beach, outside of Wilmington, is where I started as a volunteer. And then when we moved to Raleigh, I found a official position with Methodist Church closer to Raleigh.
Okay.
And you know what they say about Methodists.
What?
They're
They
always
beat-
fighting Baptists to get to lunch first.
That's so funny. Because I'm gonna tell you something. I grew up Southern Baptist, and look, people would, it's just funny to me because we sit in our pews, we sing our hymnals, we get fed by the word. But boy, if that preacher went past 12 o'clock,
12:01.
yes, everybody looking at the watch and looking at him like, okay, it's time to go.
That's why they should start
Wrap it
church
up.
at 10. Then they can't say nothing at 12. Like, it needs to be done by then, Especially if he talks like I do.
But now we go, to a non-denom church, and it's so much different because they have 3 different services.
We don't even
at
show up
3
till
different
11:30.
Yeah, so it was
The
really
best
cool
part
stuff.
is, by the time we get out, all the Baptists and Methodists are done eating. So none of the restaurants are full. So, like, we just go right on in and eat. Like, we don't have to fight that crowd, man.
That is so true. That is so true.
Oh, but yeah, so Randy ran the youth for the churches, volunteered first, and so we need to get into that, and then get into
I heard
some
he
of
had a
the
pretty
different-
strong testimony.
Yeah, I just found that out myself, so we'll see if he wants to talk about that day. The thing about Randy's getting him to talk,
Yeah.
as you can already tell.
He usually
Yep.
sits behind the camera and does all the stuff behind the camera. So now we're putting him on the spot because we're putting him in front of the camera.
Yeah,
I'm
because
not
when he's
used to being in the hot seat.
yeah, because when he's in his podcast, he lets them do all the talking. He just asks the questions.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So today, Randy's got to talk, and he, welcome to if basically a Viking and Brock Lesnar had a kid. That's who we're giving the mic. That's who we're giving the mic to today. So
So if you hear him go, "Rrr," we know what's going on.
That's all right. I've been seeing all those AI photos of you, and it's like
wow.
if you and Guy Fieri had a kid, that's what all those things.
it's bad, ain't it? It's bad, ain't it, bro? It's bad. It is. It's bad, man. I'm waiting. Yeah. Luckily, my hair's a little long today.
And I'm dead. Ronnie's attending
yeah.
my funeral because I'm dead.
You're dead. Last week
I
you were
mean,
dead.
wow.
Yeah, the AI photos of you being dead was pretty funny.
Well, at least I know I'm going to heaven.
Yeah, the bad part is that when I died last month, you and Bobby were the ones at my grave. Yeah, that was what the AI pictures were. You and Bobby. I'm like, yeah, that's no, it's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen, fellas.
Oh,
I think
Lord.
you both die about once a month.
At least,
know.
at least once a month.
That is crazy.
So how did you get started in? First off, I'm assuming, and I don't know, but okay. Well, we got to start at the beginning. So you're
Yeah.
not an original person here. You're from up north.
Yep.
Because you say these
Ewans.
craziest
Yins.
words.
Yins or
Yins.
Ewans. My family said it both ways.
And what do you call bologna? I can't even remember what he calls bologna sandwiches.
Bologna is jumbo.
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 Fried. You want to go get some fried jumbo?
Yeah.
I would never think that's baloney ever in a million years.
I-
Okay.
so what
What
state
else?
are you from?
I'm from Western Pennsylvania, out in the middle of nowhere.
That
Oh
explains
my
it.
gosh, I gotta tell my joke. What is the largest pencil in the world?
Oh my God.
Pennsylvania. Okay. That's all I got for you. Go ahead. So he's from Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
Sorry, y'all. So sorry.
I tell people if you look at Pittsburgh and Erie on a map and you find the biggest area of green with nothing else around it,
That's
that's,
where
where
you're
I'm
from.
from.
So you have
Very-
mountains up there?
Very small town. Yeah, I guess not like big mountains, but yeah, the
I mean,
foothills
foothill
of the
mountains, yeah.
Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah, so he was in the bottom. He was in the edge of the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah, it was real hilly where we were at, real rocky. But yeah, it's just farm country. It's an old railroad town, and then they took the railroad out, and it's just a bunch of farmers up there. There's not really much else.
So what did y'all do coming along, growing up?
I did yard work and that type of stuff. I mean, there's not a lot of opportunities up there, and it's even worse now than it was back then because the few jobs that were available have since shut down. So most of the people I know that are still up there, they're either retired or they're driving to Pittsburgh or Youngstown.
Also,
for
they're
work.
making that transit.
Yeah, every day.
I
but-
feel for them on that, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of service industry jobs.
Well,
A lot of my family worked for the state. There used to be a huge mental health institution up there, so I grew up going there. It was really cool back in the day because they'd have big fairs, and the residents that were capable worked the farm. They had a fish hatchery. They had all these things back in the day, and then as the government kept, taking away money, they started shutting down buildings, and then I forget who the governor was that made a big push to privatize all of that. So that was kind of the last of that, but that's where most of my family worked They all pretty much worked there. They had a farm, and they would work a third job, either taking care of an elderly person or working at a restaurant, stuff like that.
So how'd you get into construction?
So I guess just growing up around the farm with no money, you learn how to fix things. It's just what we did growing up. I grew up around a garage, a junkyard, so we had to work on all our own stuff. My uncle was a real good mechanic, and so we got to learn stuff about mechanics. And then when we're at the farm, you have to fix whatever we need to fix, and it just kind of developed over time. And then when I got older and I wanted to get into something, I thought construction was kind of a natural thing to go into.
Can you weld?
Very little.
But can you weld?
Yeah, kind
Can
of.
you weld a little bit?
A little bit.
Enough to keep something together?
Not
No.
that I want to show anybody, but yeah, it'll
But,
stay
I mean,
together.
you can get stuff.
Yeah.
Can you weld her lips?
No,
That might be
doesn't
hard.
work that way.
You have to
I
take two
actually
things
do
that
know
are
how to
not
weld.
moving to be able to weld them.
Thank you very much.
That are not moving? Yep, you'll never weld those.
In high school, I took
Oh, you did
auto body, so I do know how to weld.
And I know you
With
can paint a car. You painted one a
MIG and
lot.
an oxysaline, so I could weld you up and shut in a box.
I'm
metal
sure you could in a
box.
box. Well, he said that it was a big mental institution.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that where your family's from?
Yeah, that's where I met you.
That's probably believable. I'm not gonna lie. That I might have been there. I'm not gonna lie.
Anyway,
I mean, I did marry a redhead. That tells you everything you need to know about me.
back to Randy.
Who, me?
So, okay, so you're in Pennsylvania and you grow up there.
Yep.
You do kind of odds and ends jobs. Let me ask you this. Was there a lot of church there, religion? What was the feel for that in that area?
Yeah, there's churches. Most of my family didn't go to church. My grandma did, and those were good memories of like going to the like small little country church and Sunday school in the basement with my grandma when I was little, and that kind of plays into my story later of why I went back to church later on. But yeah, my parents, nobody went to church. So I'm private. Nobody knows much about my life because I grew up around people like always trying to blame other people for their problems and, wanting to point at everybody else and saying this is why I am the way I am. So I don't like talking a lot about my past because even on social media now, I see all these influencers, oh, I was a drug addict or I was abused or I was whatever. And, they're trying to use that to become more popular or, I don't feel like they're using it for the right thing. They're not using it to relate to people. And I've just never felt like, sharing the troubles I had would benefit me. I know that in certain places like this, it can benefit other people. And that's what I try and do with my past and not tear people down or blame anybody because everything I did wrong were based off of my decisions, circumstances I couldn't control, but decisions I could have. And I made a lot of bad choices. But so my mom, she got pregnant when she was 17. So she had me real young. Didn't graduate high school. My biological father joined the Army and left. He took off immediately.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did he do that? Did he do that just to escape?
No.
Or did he do that to try to support the family? Or why did he do that?
No, not to support the family.
he just getting out of
He
it.
was going to do his own thing.
I got you.
I think that was kind of one of his only avenues because he tended to be in trouble a lot. So he was trying to figure out what he was going to do. So he took off, and then, trying to think. My mom eventually met my stepdad, and from there, like, I'd say I had a fairly normal childhood, and my dad wasn't involved. I'd see him when he'd come to town or whatever every couple of years. And
So he would come back.
Well,
But
he
'cause
he
he
did
had
come
family
back.
there.
Yeah, that's where all the family was. He ended up most of my childhood. He lived like 3 miles down the road from me. I'd
But
see him
wasn't in your
about
life.
once a year. And he'd always, wow, you're getting big. How old are you now? Like that was our relationship.
That's really weird that you say that, because my dad literally was 10 miles away from me.
Yeah.
And we did not have a relationship.
Yeah.
But
when you're in a town of 700 or 800 people, like, you know.
it's hard not to run into
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
100%.
But,
It's probably, I mean, there's probably a reason for it, though.
yeah.
Better for you
Oh,
in the
it
long
was.
run.
Absolutely. So when I was 12, I had 2 sisters that I lived with, and then, so I have like 6 little sisters, and they were between the 2 households. But I had 2 little sisters that I lived with, and my mom, I guess, decided that she wanted to recapture her youth. I don't know what she was going through. I didn't really understand it, but she kicked my stepdad out, and then she took off with her boyfriend.
Oh, wow.
So she'd come in and out, but she spent a lot of time away. So I spent that year kind of raising my 2 sisters, have different people come in and help. My bus driver would come. She taught me how to braid hair, so I learned how to braid my sister's hair, do that kind of stuff. And I just did what I needed to do and really didn't think much of it. But fast forward, my mom comes back, and I felt like I was grown. So I was done living with them. I was ready to be an adult. And
How old were you?
I was 12,
You were still
13,
13.
probably 13.
Wow. Raising kids at 12, man. That's
And
crazy.
So I went, and how long of a period it was, I can't remember exactly. But so I ended up moving in with my aunt, and a bunch of my cousins slept on a couch there. And she said she'd take me in, but she couldn't afford to help me. Like, you know,
Yeah.
she was working 2 jobs, and my uncle had been in a bad accident and couldn't walk right, so he was out of work. But she gave me a place to stay, so I went and got a job at a diner in town. Figured out how to put myself on free lunches, and lived with my cousins, who were all significantly older than me. One of them was still in school, the other ones were out of school. So again, I thought I was an adult. So I did what they did. So I start, experimenting with stuff, smoking and drinking, and kind of just felt like I was grown. And that's what I did for pretty much the rest of my childhood until I joined the military at 17. But it was, I'd get forced to come home because it was illegal for me to live away. They'd force me to come back. I'd stay there for a while, and then I'd go again. And it was just like I was in and out. I had even got so bad I went and tried living with my dad, and that lasted for a night.
Yeah.
Couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Their household was not good.
So you didn't have a childhood.
No, not really.
I mean, you were grown at 12.
Yeah. Thought I was.
Well, I'm saying they're helping to raise,
Yeah, but you were
helping to
taking
raise
care of your
sisters,
sisters
and-
working, living on somebody's couch.
Trying to
like,
do what you think is right.
no
Yeah.
stability there whatsoever, though.
No.
I mean, none, except whatever stability you provided yourself.
Yeah. And to be fair, I never went without. Like, we didn't
Oh, yeah.
have any extra.
Well, she
never
kept you
really-
fed, your aunt kept you fed, and
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, I'd live with friends, live with cousins through high school, different things. Like I said, the law would get involved. I'd have to go back home and then keep doing it. But I stayed out of trouble. I stayed out of trouble. Got into a fight here and there, but nothing much.
no
But-
major trouble.
Yeah, I just hid. I was by myself most of the time. I didn't fit in with people ever in school. I was always different. I sit back. You guys know me now. I don't talk a lot. I like to sit back and watch and evaluate. I like to be learning things and figuring things out, and just not very social. So I was extremely socially awkward, but substances would make me fun and exciting and do crazy stuff, and I could get a rise from people doing that. So, a lot of binging and a lot of doing it just to impress other people. But I was into the punk rock stuff. I've always had a mohawk of some kind. I used to have spikes and green hair and red hair. I've had every color hair you can imagine. But it was more just to get people to leave me alone. Like,
Yeah.
kind of hide on the outside. People are like, oh, this dude's weird. We're not going to bother him. And,
Ronnie knows about that.
Yep. And when I turned 17, I joined the National Guard. So between my junior and senior year, I got to go to boot camp, and it was an amazing experience. Like, I was built for that. I had something to do. It was a game to me, and I had so much fun doing it. And then came back for my senior year, just a completely different person, because like there's no culture where I'm from. The county, I looked it up the other day, just curious. The county I'm from is, I think, 89% white still today. And it's like, and that's, you know, so I had no culture. It was a bunch of other people just like me, and went to the Army, and I was like, holy cow, there's a whole different world out here.
Whole world out
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up with like the KKK marching at the courthouse, and it'd be in the
Really?
papers. Oh yeah. Yeah, it was still active when I was in school.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how it is now, but
Now, man, I mean, it's everything's still out there, but now
Yeah.
it's skinheads and like Nazi lowriders, and
yeah.
I think there's so many sects now. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Back
There's
then, I
way
think,
too many different
well, back then it
groups.
was just one group, one
Yeah.
big hate group. So that's who I think everybody affiliated with. So
Yeah.
And you know, honestly, to put them all in all in a group, it's nothing but hate. That's all it is. That needs to be killed out. I mean,
well,
there's no need to hate.
I'll tell you, I've never understood. And you know, we had them here. We had a lot in Joco, where we grew up, but I've never understood how these hate groups, especially the white supremacist hate groups, absolutely hate anything that's anti-white. So they hate Jews, but yet they talk about Christ in the Bible.
Yeah.
He's a Jew.
That's the part you
Yeah.
don't. How can you say that the Bible? Like you'll see some of these meetings, and they'll actually have a Bible at them. And it's like, bro, how are you reading out of that mug when it was written by everything but white people?
I mean, if you're a Christian, I don't know how you hate like that anyway, because not if you're serving the same Lord I'm serving.
Well,
I'm just saying.
I don't
you
think
you don't
yeah,
hate.
I
He
don't
says
think
to
they're
love one
Christians. I
another.
think they just use
I think they use it as a crutch, and then what happens
they
in
use certain
return?
verses for power.
That's right. And then what happens as return is somebody who's not a Christian sees it, and then they call them out, and then it gives Christians a bad name, and there we go.
Well, you got to understand too. Now in today's society, it ain't just white hate groups that do that. You got people like the Black Israelites that say that nobody other than that all the original Jews are black and nobody else can go to heaven. Like you listen to some of the stuff they talk about, and I mean, so people take the Bible and twist it into whatever race bait they want to. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think color really plays a factor now. If you want to use it for hate,
I
they're
don't
going to
think-
use it for hate. They're going to find verses that they won't use the entire chapter and the whole book, as
It's
which we were
just-
talking about earlier.
Yep.
They won't take the context. They'll take the
Context.
2 verses they want
Yeah.
and be like, this is what it says.
Yeah.
And
But they
so-
don't find out the hermeneutics about
No,
it.
they
And
don't.
they don't research it back to that time period. The other thing I was going to say is it's almost like people talking about people with tattoos in
Oh,
the Bible.
yeah.
In the Bible. I get that one a lot. I get that a lot.
Randy just got a tattoo. Have you
Yeah.
seen his new tattoo?
No-
Oh, it's a banger.
Yeah, but when they say about
Well, they
marking
say
your
the Old
body-
Testament talks about do not mark your body with the names of the dead, because back then when people would die, they would inscribe their names on their bodies.
Yeah.
And so basically they were honoring those people, and what they were saying back then is you had to understand these people would basically treat these people like saints or demigods or whatever. And he's like, don't do that. Don't put the name of the dead on your body. They're no longer here. They're not on this earth. They're either in Shiloh or they're in in the waiting area or whatever, depending on what you believe, where a body goes. But yeah, but the funny part is in Revelation when Jesus comes back, it says that King of Kings is tattooed on his hip. But again, if you look at the hermeneutics, and this is the funny part, so when kings back then fought and they would show up at a battle, they had a plate that they wore over their chest with a plate on their side that said what country they represented, who they were king of. So, in the Bible, they consider that a tattoo. So when we talk about hermeneutics, which we all talk about that a lot, and I think that's big to understand, if you're growing up in Western Pennsylvania, who's going to teach you hermeneutics?
Right.
Who's going to teach you context? Not being funny, but like,
Well, I mean,
we don't have
obviously
Google
he was
back then.
raising himself.
Well, that's what I'm
so-
saying. Who's going to teach you that? So to see that you come from those beginnings, and literally by 18 don't end up in prison is impressive. Because most people will find a reason to get what they need to get. Like what's that old adage? I prayed for a bike, I couldn't afford one. I prayed for God every day to give me a bike. Got tired of waiting, so I stole one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the mentality of kids that are raised without any kind of guidance.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of impressed by 18. You talking about going to National Guard. I was expecting you to tell me that you
yeah.
was. No, really, I was expecting you to tell
That
me,
is
hey,
impressive.
I got put inside for a while, you know.
No, never got caught.
Yeah,
I
that's-
did, and I always wondered what would happen if I got caught stealing like deodorant and toothpaste. It always crossed my mind.
But you were stealing necessities.
yeah,
So stuff that you had to have.
yeah,
So you
But-
weren't out there trying to steal Snickers bars and beer.
yeah.
Wow.
And I did. I went to school the whole time too. I always showed up to school every day.
So you graduated?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So I went to boot camp when I was 17. Between my junior and senior year, came back a totally different person, and actually thrived my senior year in school, and like came up with a plan to go into the future, like find a job, because it was always like find a job, go to school, do something, and was trying to be like the first person in my family to go to college. So I went to Pittsburgh Institute of Aeronautics, and fell in with the right people for the first time in my life, like all the people that were there for the right reasons, and was like crushing it. Like things were going great, and then 9/11 happened, and when 9/11 happened, I had to drop out of school and get ready to go overseas.
Because you were in the National
'Cause I
Guard.
was in
still.
the National
Oh,
Guard.
okay. So they were going to,
Yep.
what's it called?
Deploy.
Yeah, but they were
Yeah.
going to bring you into full-time service.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they
Yeah.
call it. But yeah.
Active duty.
Active duty. They're going to put you on
Yeah.
active duty.
So, and this was, so I think technically it was before we declared war after 9/11. We were the second group to go over to Europe, and we got stationed in Belgium. But as soon as I dropped out of school, I had nothing to do, and I was just waiting to see, at that time, to see when we were leaving, because they kept changing the dates and where we were going, and had nothing else to do, so I went back to my old ways, started drinking and partying, and got my first DUI,
Oh, wow.
and then had to.
While you're in Belgium?
No, before
Before you went?
Before
I
he
went,
left.
yeah.
Before he went.
Yeah, so I had to hurry up and plead guilty to that and work it out with the court so I could still go overseas, because I didn't want to get left, and not be able to go. But Belgium wasn't great either. I mean, there was good parts and bad parts, but we lived right above a bar, and like literally our dorms or bay that we slept in, you went down the stairs one way, you went outside, you went the other way, you went straight down into a bar.
Oh, wow.
So when I had something to do, that's what I always say about the military. Like when I had a job to do, I was the best soldier. But when there was nothing to do, nobody wanted me around, because I'd get bored, I'd get in trouble, drink too much, do whatever. The cool thing was though, so over there they have small universities, not like they are here, not the big ones. And instead of having like fraternities and sororities, each university over there will have one group of combined guys and girls that do the same kind of thing. They pledge and they go to events and they do fundraisers. And like my second day there, I met this group and spent the rest of the time I was there sneaking off base as much as I could and going to do different events with them. I got to go to private fundraisers. I got to go to a university dance. I got to go to a big festival with them. Like I was always going out and doing something. So I got to experience, again, culture. And it so from that perspective, it was awesome. It changed how I see people and view life. But yeah, where does it go from there? We come back, I get back into school, and this time all the people that I was friends with, they're all graduating.
Because you got deployed.
Yep. And
Hold on one second. You were talking about there was a bar where you were at. So,
I still feel for them soldiers.
what?
Are you getting ready to tell all the soldiers you got in trouble while we were at Tattoo?
Yeah, because I'm
Yeah.
back on U.S. soil now.
Well, what I'm saying though is them boys probably served 6 months of ain't no telling.
Okay, so
Feel bad
let
for
me
the
just
boys.
tell you, okay, when me and Ronnie was in the UK, we go over there to see the tattoo, which is a big event. You got
In
it's
Scotland.
So we were over in the UK and we went to this thing called the tattoo. The tattoo is basically cultural dances, and you have to
Different eras. From different eras. So it'd
Yes.
be like African, 1,300 years ago. It might
Yeah.
be Brazilian, 700 years
Could be
ago. It might
ballet.
be, yeah,
I
just
mean,
all kinds of different.
the prime minister goes, like, it's a big deal in the UK. And the person who was running it knew me and Ronnie, so they were like, hey, we're going to let you go in and sit on the front row. All right, cool, no problem. Well, of course, I had to use the bathroom. So what's nearby is a bar. So I walk in this bar. Now, there's two police officers standing outside. And I walk in the bar.
And now this other dude in like full uniform with his cops, they're standing out there talking.
Yeah.
But you can tell he's a bigwig.
Yeah, but I won't really catching on.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know, okay? I apologize now. But, so I go through there, I'm coming back, and I'm like, dang. I was like, all these soldiers are in here drinking, and they're in full uniform. Like, ain't that kind of weird?
Randy, they was blistered.
So, look, so I walk out, and Ronnie's standing near the cops, and I'm like, I can't believe they let them drink in full uniform in here. Well, next thing I know, those cops went running in there, and they were taking them out, boy.
Bo, she got the entire company. Oh, I'm talking about the entire. So they had snuck off to this bar. I guess they were supposed to be working. And they were all drunk, and she said it in front of the two cops, but she said it in front of this big wig with the military there. I mean, fully decorated, like he's in charge, he's out there, and he looks at her and he goes, what? And looks at the two officers, or bobbies, or whatever you call them. And I was like, no, you did not.
And I was like, what? Because literally, I did not know that if you were in full uniform, you couldn't drink. I didn't know that. I really didn't. And so Ronnie was like, I think it's time for us to go now. We need to go now.
Now.
Like, they're going to kill you.
Oh, I mean, but they were bringing them mugs out and, like, literally putting them into paddy wagons.
I was like,
I'm like,
oh,
every
boy.
one of them mugs
So,
went to the brig or whatever you call it.
From the future, I apologize for that past incident in the UK.
If you were involved in that.
If you're involved, I'm really sorry.
Send us a message, though. I'd love to talk to one of those soldiers and see how that turned out for y'all.
But anyway, okay.
But the funny part real quick about that, though, is we're in our box. Like literally in a box, and there's a prime minister and there's an assistant prime minister or something, like a second in charge, and they give him the staff, which is like the representative staff for the event, like a golden staff to start the event with. And me and Amy are sitting there, you know, because the show's real big over there, and I'm looking, and that mug just points the staff at me. Well, I think I'm in trouble. Like, bro, this mug's done pointed out to two Americans. There ain't but two Americans in the whole crowd. And that mug points the staff, and he starts smiling. He's like, lizard. And that's like the assistant prime minister of Scotland, bro. And I'm like, this mug, watch his lizard leg. And then Amy goes and gets all the cops all the soldiers in trouble. So it was funny.
It was eventful, to say the least.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I got a good overseas story for you.
What you got?
So did you know that during big events and big holidays, there is a makeshift police station underneath one of the legs of the Eiffel Tower?
No.
Oh, I did not.
Ask me how I know that.
No, you spent some time in that brig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we planned a trip, me and three of my friends. So you either worked Christmas or New Year's, and we worked 7 days straight. That way the other half of the team could get 7 days off. So we had off 7 days for New Year's, and we planned this big trip. And like I said, we were stationed in Belgium outside of NATO Allied Supreme Headquarters of Europe. And we went from Belgium down into Switzerland, stayed in Switzerland, went back up through the Black Forest in Germany, stopped at a couple of bases, visited some people, and then landed in Paris, France for New Year's, to be there for New Year's Eve. And the whole day, like all this crazy stuff. And I guess, so when we were getting ready to deploy and before we went overseas, I went and bought a video camera. I was like, I'm going to record everything. So I always had a video camera with me. So we're walking around Paris. There's cars getting flipped over and like stuff set on fire.
Yeah.
We knew early on that it was going to get crazy because it was still daylight out and they started unloading buses full of cops and riot gear. I was like, oh, things are going to be fun tonight.
Oh, yeah.
But so we go through the whole night, no real incidents. We had a blast. And two of my friends went back to the hotel room, and me and my buddy were walking around probably about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and there's still people out just hanging out. And we walk down under the Eiffel Tower, and there's like 5 or 6 guys beating somebody up. And like at this point, my camera's almost dead, but I turn it back on, video it real quick, and turn it back off. And we start walking away. And all of a sudden, this guy comes up and tries to grab my video camera, and he's yelling at me in French, and I don't know what he's saying, and I think he's trying to rob me or something. So I push him back, and he comes back at me to get it. So I hit him, and about the time I hit him, I feel somebody hit me in the back of my legs. So they kicked out the back of my legs. I dropped to my knees, and I get whacked in the back of the head. And I still think I'm getting robbed because I thought maybe they whacked me with a beer bottle. It was something hard. And like, I'm like fetal, like yelling for help, and I see a cop walking towards me. So like, I get back up, and I hand him, I was like, help me, and I hand him my camera, and he takes my camera and steps back and just looks at me. And like, I look around, and like, these were the same guys I saw beating up somebody else, and they grab me up, and they're yelling at me, and still trying to figure out what's going on, and they start dragging me toward one of the legs of the Eiffel Tower, and like, I'm like, what is happening? So the cop's carrying my camera, and we walk down these stairs, and finally there's somebody speaking English. It's this lady yelling at me. She's like, shut up, shut up. She's like, show us the tape. I was like, what tape? She's like, show us the tape. They saw me videotaping these undercover cops beating somebody else up.
Oh my God.
So-
And we're the troublemakers.
Exactly.
We're the troublemakers.
So they were beating me with nightsticks. I had a lump from here to here on the back of my head. So I was like, I'll erase it, because I didn't want to lose all the other cool footage I
Yeah.
had. So I'm like trying to erase it. I'm nervous, I'm shaking. I accidentally hit play, and they see themselves on camera beating somebody else up. So then they're trying to like break my camera to get it apart or to get
Oh
the
my
tape out of it. I
gosh.
was like, I'll give you the tape. And so I did. I handed them over the tape, and they bring me upstairs. And I'm wondering where my friend is this whole time. And they like throw me out, and there's my friend with two either military or police, one on either side of them, both holding, machine gun style rifles. And like,
Wow.
he's like, he just looks at me, and he's like,
Yeah,
he
couldn't
couldn't
Ain't
do
nothing he could do.
anything. No.
he saw what was going on because he was a few feet away from me, and he couldn't help. I got out, and he's like, you all right? I was like, I think I'm ready for bed now.
Wow.
Wow.
So I definitely had a lot of experiences in Europe.
So then you come back, and
Yeah.
everybody's graduated school. After you come back from war, well,
Not war.
Deployment.
Never went to war.
Deployment.
deployment.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. You getting beat up by some undercover cop. I'm just saying.
I couldn't tell anybody either because I was
Yeah.
always getting in trouble, so I knew it was
Yeah.
going to be my fault somehow.
Yep.
They would look at your rap sheet and be
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Whatever. About like Ronnie.
Yep.
Okay. So then what happens?
So 9/11 destroyed the airline industry, obviously, and I'm going to school to be an airplane mechanic. And so I was like, well, there's not going to be any jobs in that. And it didn't help that I got a DUI, so you have to have a clean record to work for the airlines too. So I switched to avionics and ended up getting my degree in avionics, which is like airplane electronics, because I figured at least,
I'm glad you explained that because I'm sitting here going, what is it?
Okay, so wait a minute. Can you fly a plane?
no.
But he can wire one.
But you can.
Yeah, I was licensed to wire one. I've
He can wire one.
Done one, but yeah, I got my license, everything to work on airplanes, but there was no jobs in the airline industry.
So you didn't pursue it.
No.
You don't never. I mean, wow.
I went and
That's
worked at a
really
restaurant,
cool.
but by the time I graduated, I was such a mess. I wouldn't have been able to get on anywhere anyways. Like I said, I fell in with the wrong people and learned about new exciting ways to ingest substances, and it went downhill very quick from there. So I did manage to graduate somehow.
Was one of those ways through the eyes, out of curiosity?
Huh?
Did you take any through the eyes?
No.
Oh, you never drip in the eyes? I just thought I'd ask.
Nope.
That was a big thing back then.
What?
Acid to the eyes.
That's
A
crazy.
lot of guys would.
Gonna make you blind.
No, you just it.
I don't know. I
It,
didn't
it immediately
partake.
absorbs. So they got to where you could get the liquid
I
way back in
honestly-
the AC/DC days, and
No, I did that all through high school.
yeah, that was just a big thing. But drugs then were not, and I tell everybody this: drugs then were not like drugs now. Everything now is synthetic and can kill you.
Yeah.
Back then, the only way you literally were going to die is if you did too much.
Yep.
Like you didn't have to worry about taking something and worried about saving your friend's life or having Narcan. And I'm not saying it was any better to do them then. I'm just saying you could recover from that.
Yeah.
Where now,
It's got fentanyl.
and not just fentanyl, but all the other stuff they put in, it makes it ultra addictive.
Yeah.
So like one of the most addictive drugs ever manufactured was crack. Well, it comes from cocaine. Well, you see people do cocaine for 20 years and only do it on the weekends. Like literally. Like they didn't have to have it. They could have it. But as soon as they come out with crack, added that stuff, made it that quick, then it became just so addictive. And that's the problem with drugs now is everything is so addictive, man.
Yeah.
And that's why it's dangerous for these kids.
Well,
So-
I don't know. I didn't really know that much about drugs at all until I met Ronnie. So,
Yeah, well, I was doing the worst ones in the worst kind of way. So,
right.
so you know, what do
For
you
what?
do?
To escape reality or just to have fun?
I mean, it was just what I've learned through time is like I don't do well with boredom and without having a
So
purpose.
you had to have something to.
Yeah.
I needed something.
It
to
kept your
do.
mind rolling.
Yeah, and like I lost that drive when everything I had a plan and it got interrupted, and I just didn't go back to it with the same mindset. And you know, it didn't help getting in trouble overseas, getting in trouble with the DUI
So-
before I left.
So
and
staying tore up is basically the equivalent of staying busy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, your mind's always.
slows my brain
You know what I'm
down.
saying? Everything you're not. Yeah.
Yeah,
I get it.
'cause I'm a thinker. Like, there's so much
Yeah.
going on in my head all the time, and like now I know how to utilize it. But then it was like I'm different. Like, I need to slow things down a little bit.
So I get in trouble all the time for exactly that.
Yeah.
Because I try to think.
y'all
of-
are ADHD.
Well, I try to think of 10 things at once. I got 10 things
100%.
going on.
Yeah.
And just a while ago, Amy got on me. She's like, you need to learn to concentrate on one thing. I'm like, my
No,
mind
I
doesn't
didn't
work
say
like
that.
that.
I
Like,
didn't
my
say
mind
that.
doesn't work like that. Like, I can't, I'm thinking about that, but I've got 7 other thoughts coming out at the same time.
Yeah.
And Amy doesn't really, Amy's a concentrate, get it done, dedicated to that job. And she can do 4 or 5 jobs, but it's, I'm going to handle this, then I'm going to handle this. I can't do that.
Me neither.
I'll be
But see,
working on
is
this
what
and
I've
trying to
had
handle that at the
learn.
same time.
This is what I've had to learn. If I don't categorize in my mind what is the most important and what needs to be done right now, then here I am in left field doing this, this, and this, and the most important thing that needed to get done didn't get done because I'm over here thinking about this one, this one, this one, and this one. You can't do that.
See,
It's almost like, to me, and I hate to say this because I know this is not what it is, but to me, it's kind of like being scatterbrained. But that's because I categorize stuff. Like, where y'all are ADHD, I'm OCD about certain things. So I want an order. So I'm like, okay, I got this to do, this, this, and this. This is most important. I'm going to go do this first, and then I'll take care of this. And then I could swing back through and do this on my way back over here. That's how I think.
Yeah.
But have you ever noticed that OCD people do not, like ADHD people are not bothered by OCD people, but OCD people are bothered by ADHD people?
That is probably very
Because
true.
it's a
Me and you,
obsessive compulsive disorder. So you become obsessive over how we think, and
Well,
then
it's
compulsive
not
over the
that.
reaction. That's exactly what it is. You ain't never seen a guy like us go, I can't believe you're compartmentalizing. I can't believe you're categorizing. But take a person like you, and they're talking to us, they're like, I can't believe y'all working on 9 things when this needs to be
well,
done.
no,
Bruh.
this
Well,
is
when's it
not
need
that-
to be done? It
Yeah,
doesn't
I
need to
mean,
be done
it's just-
today. I
I
still got
mean-
plenty of time.
Yeah.
But look, this is my thing with Ronnie though. Ronnie will get so like he'll have so many fires open at one time that he's not putting any of the fires out. So like you at some point have to kind of go, okay, let me pump the brakes a minute. Where do I, you know what I'm saying?
Why?
Because how else are you going to get anything done?
So instead of me putting out 1 fire, by the end of the day, I don't put out 10 fires. I just put them out at different times.
Oh my God. Lord, please don't strike him again. Please don't strike
Randy knows he's the same way. Literally, I've learned Randy thinks the same way I think. Like
if I
our
don't have a
minds.
deadline, it's not going to get done.
And then when I do got a deadline, like I told Amy today, I have to send this off by 5. We can wait till tomorrow. I just
didn't
said
say that.
You did earlier. I said I
did
got
not
to send
say
this woman the
that.
contract.
But most people, Randy, like you and I, who have portable electronics, can do it on their portable electronic and keep on rolling to the next thing. See how we think? See? It gets
Randy
done.
ain't sent no contract over his phone. He goes in and gets on his computer just like I do, where the templates are. See? See?
I'm going to start praying right now for patience. Patience, please.
It ain't going to do you near a bit of good because you ain't going to get none. You never had it.
Okay. Back to Randy.
Back to we can't work on airplanes.
Yeah.
And I'm
Okay.
getting in trouble.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was getting in trouble. When did I get? Somewhere in there, I got another DUI. Yeah, for substances this time, and that wasn't good. But I went to work at a restaurant because where do you go when you're hooked on drugs and need a job? You go to a restaurant to work, right?
Yeah.
So I went and worked at the kitchen in a restaurant, and I was just surviving. That's all I was doing. And
So when did something flip?
it took a while, a long time.
Really?
Yeah. So first, you can't just accept problems. Like you got to try and run away from them for a while first. So that was the next move.
I understand.
Because this whole time I'm still having to go to the National Guard and do drill and like hide it and all that stuff and try not to get caught and get discharged or whatever. So my whole life was a mess. Got out of the Army, and the day I got out, I already had a U-Haul packed, and I was like, I'm going to move, and if I'm going to move anywhere, I might as well move to where I vacation. So I moved to Wilmington, North Carolina. Just had no plan, nothing.
You're partying up north.
Yeah.
And you decide to come to a college town.
Big old party town,
Yeah,
Wilmington,
big party
near
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville.
On the beach, right by the military base.
Yes, right near the Marines. Jacksonville,
Yeah,
NC. Here
that's
we go.
definitely the place to escape from partying. That's exactly where I'd have went. Yeah.
Yep.
Don't go
college
Look,
town.
don't go somewhere like, what is it? Don't go somewhere like, some little hick town in West Virginia or somewhere like that. Let's go to
That's
Wilmington, North
even
Carolina.
worse. That's where I used to hang out whenever I was running and gunning back in the day. That's where all the mills and stuff were.
Oh my God. Randy in Wilmington, North Carolina trying to evade partying.
Okay,
Well, so I left without even taking care of my charges, anything. I just packed up. I was gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
so did that catch you in the butt later on?
Yeah. You can't run from that.
Yeah, but it has a surprise twist, I guess, to that story. So I found jobs. Like I was working 3 jobs down there and having fun. And
Let me guess.
Like
in restaurants?
Huh? No.
Oh,
Stayed
you
out
got-
of the restaurants.
You got out of restaurants?
Yeah. I was working as a bouncer and a bartender. And
Okay, let's leave the restaurants and go to the club.
I was actually working at a women's clothing store.
I wonder why.
No, well, because I worked at a clothing store in Pennsylvania, and they had both a women's and a men's store, and they'd send me to the women's store occasionally, and I did real well with sales there. So when they transferred me to the women's store. So I worked there, and then worked at UNCW.
I think they're.
This
they're-
is the part
they're-
of story he can't tell because you're sitting here.
Look, though,
Women's
probably
clothes. I went to a women. That's
women's
like Al
clothing-
Bundy talking about I sell women's shoes. Yeah, why
Yeah.
you do that, Al?
Because the boss was really smart and was like, I got this young lad, and I'm gonna send him over there to the women to get, the women be like, oh, he look good. I'm gonna buy that shirt right there. If he says it looks good on me, it looks good on me. I'm
And
gonna
then
buy
Randy
it.
gets them to the bar that night so he can serve them to get a tip. And then when they didn't give him no money, he could throw them out the front door while he was bouncing. He had to, man, you were actually a businessman the whole way. Look, I'm
hookup.
impressed,
Wow.
bro. That's impressive.
And so I guess an important part is that I've had the same, at that time I had the same girlfriend since 11th grade,
She moved with you.
and yeah,
Oh, wow.
every time I moved, she'd follow, or that time we moved together. And that was on and off throughout all that time. So yeah, she stayed beside me while I was a flipping mess, but it wasn't healthy. But when all this was going on and I started to then I met a guy at the bar, and he's like, oh, I do trim carpentry. I was like, cool, how do I get a job doing that? He's like, well, I'll introduce you to the guy. So I get a job doing trim carpentry in these multi-million-dollar homes on the beach. It was all custom, and it was fun. I enjoyed that, and found a purpose again, and kind of cleaned up my act and was doing things right and felt like I had freedom again and could do what I wanted. I still had, charges following me around that kept me, because by that they had took my driver's license, so I'm still driving, no driver's license, and just, but I managed to find some enjoyment and satisfaction out of doing this work and getting good at it and learning something new. Did that for a while. That led to me starting my first business, which was a custom trim company. And it was doing great until 2008, and everything stopped.
The crash.
Yeah. But
The market crash.
I was so we were talking about separating from my ex, and then she got pregnant. So then, I don't know, I felt stuck again and running out of options, and so I did what I always do. Went back to hiding and quieting my brain and just accepting that things are the way they are, and this is what I need to do, and kind of went from there. And let's get the key parts. So had another kid along the way, moved a couple times, tried different jobs, did different things. But then, like, I got to be a real mess, like real bad. Just like not talking to people, just hiding, lying, secrets, stealing, just everything all the time. I was just finding that next one, like, how do I pay for it? What do I do? Because I'm working shitty construction jobs, not making much money. And finally, I thought I was going crazy. I was hearing voices, and I was on my way into work. Actually, at this time, I was working as a locksmith at UNC Wilmington. I don't know if I should say that. But I was on my way into work, and, like, I didn't feel right. It's like the voices are bad. I don't know why, but that day I decided to go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital, told them what was going on. They're like, you're not crazy. It's all these things you're doing.
Yeah.
They're like, you don't need us. You need to go to rehab. And I was like, all right. So this is probably end of November, beginning of December sometime. So it's right before Christmas, right before my birthday, right before New Year's. And have 2 kids at home that aren't going to understand. They were young, but decided to go do it. So I went to where they told me to, and I walked in with just the clothes on my back. They're like, we don't have any rooms. You'll have to come back another day. I said, if I walk back out of this room, I will never be back. Like, I can promise you that. They're like, okay, just sit here and stay. And I sat there for hours and hours, and, like, I'm getting sick and, like, getting ready to bounce, and they take me back in. And yeah, I spent I was supposed to be there for 30, and they approved me for another 15, so I stayed as long as they would keep me, and kind of started to figure some stuff out. And yeah, the awful thing that I did, well, it's not awful, it was the right thing to do, but it was just felt bad. And it was as soon as I got some clarity, told my ex, because at this time we were married, I said, we need to get a divorce, which is crappy on my behalf because she stuck with me when I was a mess. But like I said, it wasn't a good relationship. It wasn't
Yeah,
healthy.
but if it's toxic for the kids,
Yeah.
and at some point you know that the only way you can get that toxicity out is to leave, then you got to leave.
Yeah.
Because what's bad today might not be bad in a year.
But I knew the hardest part and why I couldn't do it or didn't want to do it was because I knew, like, for all the bad things I was a great father. Mm-hmm. And, like, nobody can take that away from me. And but I knew that if I left, then I probably wasn't going to get to see my kids a lot because I had been in all this trouble and just getting out of rehab and all this stuff. But you find out that if you just start doing the right things, it doesn't matter what you think or what your plans are, that things fall into place the way they're supposed to. Had to learn that I need to learn how to use my brain and follow through on things, find purpose in different ways. And I got out of rehab, and I was homeless. So I was like, it's funny, I've always had somebody's couch or something to sleep on, and now I'm trying to do the right thing, and I'm sleeping in my car in a Walmart parking lot. And, like, that's where I'm staying. So that lasted for a short period of time, not too long. Ended up getting into a house and living there. And then some things happened, and I ended up moving back into my house with the kids to take care of them. It was just me and them. And I was ready to do whatever to make sure that we could make this work, and just trying to figure it out. It was rough, like trying to do all the things I needed to do. Luckily, through all that, I kept my job. I wasn't making a lot of money, but I was making enough. And then going through the divorce process, and that got ugly, but met my now wife, Caitlin, met her through some friends. And yeah, learned that, like, having the right partner, the right person in your life to help motivate you, that you can play off of, can really propel you forward. Mm-hmm. So that was a big turning point. But skipped over something important for this podcast was when I got out of rehab. It was like I didn't have a lot of happy memories. Like, I don't know I don't know if it's the ADHD or how your brain works, but like I see scenes that I've lived through in my life, like all the time. And it's mostly bad stuff that I remember. And it's like, so I'm living through these over and over again. And it's like,
You're letting your past haunt you.
yeah, to an extreme, and letting it control me too. Like I'm basing everything off my past and feeling worthless and feeling all these ways because these memories I have. So good memory is going to church with my grandma. So when I get out, I'm like, what do I do now? It's like, well, go to the last place I remember being happy when I was a kid, and that was a church.
Yep. And you know, what's really weird is, you know, me and Ronnie talk about this a lot. The first 5 years of a child's life, I'm going to go ahead to say maybe even the first 13 years of a child's life are so important.
Well, I mean, honestly, by 11, they pretty much already set. To me.
That's
Like,
right.
the first 10 years, yeah, you got a chance. 11, 12, 13, once that testosterone or whatever gets,
All the hormones get to kicking in. Then that's when...
you've already had your shot at it.
That's right. So I say that to say that, you know, as a parent, it is so important just to be there for your kid, just to be there. Randy is living proof of that because he was there taking care of his own sisters because his mom skipped out. Mm-hmm. And I think probably another reason why he wanted to stay with his ex-wife was because she was there, number one, because of bad times, but also because it was a constant in his life, and he didn't have that when he was little. You know? I think that's pretty hard to...
I think guys like us would mind work the way we mind change is hard. That's why we want to have a goal and a set thing. And when we have to change sometimes, especially quick change, it's hard to get your mind around it sometimes because if you don't have a path, or me anyway, if I don't have a path or something I'm headed toward, I get lost.
Yeah.
I get turn left, turn right, going this way. So, but I think it's cool you went back to take care of the kids, you know.
That's
and then,
right.
Then I think the devil uses
People.
our memory too, though. I think he
Yeah.
uses our memories. I think that's how he attacks. I think the Bible tells us about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what everybody always says when the devil tells you about your past, remind him of your future. But that's what he uses. He always uses our bad. He's
That's
always
right.
like, remember how you were.
You know-
Remember when you did this.
Yeah.
Remember how you did that. Remember how
But
you
see,
treated
God's
this person.
grace covers
Yeah.
you and forgave you when you
Yeah.
laid that down and gave it to Him. And I said something yesterday about the take-back game.
Yeah, you can't take it back.
You can't take it back. If you want God to be your vindicator and work on your behalf, you got to let it go. You got to pray about it, and you got to give it to Him. He cannot work for you if you're still working for yourself. Now, I'm not saying that you stop doing what you're supposed to be doing, but what I'm saying is if you give it to God, give it to Him, let Him take care of it. Don't take it back.
Well, up to this point in Randy's story, too, how ironic is it that he returns to where he was happy? Which the cool part is we always talk about some people plant the seed, some people water the seed, some people weed the fields, and some people harvest the seed. So see, that grandma planted a seed that wasn't watered for 20, 30 years. So that seed just sat there.
That's right.
And then when he gets out of rehab, something put the water on it.
The faith of a mustard seed.
And now it's like, hey, where do I go back to? We'll go back to the seed. Now you can start. So, and I know we're going to hear more about the story, but so to me, before we even go further, I think that's where the growth probably started. As we hear it, we'll hear it. But if I had to look and say, well, I bet that we're going to head in a different direction from here, I bet you that's where the seed started getting watered because he went back to where he was last happy. And it's funny that he was happy in church.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And I also think that he was running a lot.
100%.
You know, when you're running and you're trying to get rid of something, you can't stop and be amongst the stillness and hear what God wants you to hear. I mean, I know that a lot of times when I'm upset about something, I don't want to hear nothing. You know,
Oh,
so
I
I
know.
kind of get. Did you say I know?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Okay, I lied. I did say it.
But anyway, okay.
So yeah, I still had charges that I hadn't dealt with. I owed people money, but I didn't care. I just control what I can control and focus on what I need to do just to keep moving forward. Still working at the same job, which was not fulfilling at all. But so my grandma was, love that woman. She was the best person in my life ever. And, like, she wouldn't co-sign any of my nonsense. She told me how it was. When I went to her, I asked her for money one time. She said this will be the only time. And she meant it. And, like, but was always there for me.
Yep.
But she worked 3 jobs, so I didn't get to see her much. But, like, most of my happiest times were when I was staying at her house or doing stuff with her. So, you know, I'm like, all right, where do I go? I go back to, we went to a Presbyterian church. So get the kids ready on Sunday. We go to the Presbyterian church. Nothing against Presbyterians, but man, was it boring. It was hard to sit through. It's like, all right, this isn't the right one. Well, there's another church right around the corner. We'll go try that next Sunday. So
And that's very important, what he just said.
Finding where you're happy.
That's right. It's very important to find where you're connected, to find where you feel like you're fed. You know, what feeds me and Ronnie may not feed you. Randy might, maybe he needs to be, you know, what is it that they always say? Put down the religion.
I mean, you know, we all come to the same cross. It's when we leave that cross.
No, Ronnie.
No, what I'm saying, though, is it's not about the religion. It's about the relationship.
That's right.
And you have to find the place after you leave that cross.
I couldn't think of it.
Well, yeah, you have to find a place when you leave that cross where you can have that relationship. Some people, that's a theological relationship, like an old school Baptist.
That's right.
Some people need to jump and holler and screaming like a holiness church.
Yes.
I
got scared
some
one time.
people need some. It just depends on where you find that relationship.
Yes.
And that's what church you go to. And if it's not the church for you, you don't settle. That's the one thing I can tell anybody watching this. Do not ever settle. Mm-hmm. If you're not getting fed and you're not being fulfilled and you're not happy, and I'm not talking about happy physically, I'm talking about happy spiritually.
Yes.
You don't have to agree with the pastor. I don't always agree with the pastor. I don't agree with everybody.
That's right.
But I'm spiritually fulfilled.
Yeah, and you can feel the Spirit moving
Yep.
when you walk in our church.
Yep. So
I mean,
wherever you go, that's important. So actually, the fact that you would leave a church is, like most people would just sit there and be like, "Well, this is where I need to be. I need to be in church." No,
Yeah.
no, but it's not the building. Not the building.
No.
No. Yeah, I knew after that first Sunday, like, the kids didn't have fun. I didn't have fun. I was like, this isn't the right place. And, like, it was easy to blend in there. Like, so nobody noticed us, nothing. I was like, that's not what I need right now. Like, I need to be around people. I need to be noticed because I've spent my whole life hiding. So the next Sunday, we walk into another church, and Pastor Jenny, female pastor, was standing there. And we walk in, and the first thing she does is give me a hug. I was like, that's been a while, you know?
Yeah.
Because, you know, in my experience, you know, I stay to myself and nobody really knows me. Not even my first wife really knows me because everybody that knew me left. And it's like, I let them see the parts that I want them to see and hide everything else.
That's right.
And it's like,
And that's the one thing you can't do with God.
Can't hide.
You can't hide it. He's with you everywhere.
so we started going every Sunday. The kids loved it. The people there were amazing. They welcomed me into their families. Like, we were having a good time, and they knew I was a mess.
Yeah.
And she did the one thing. She showed him love.
She accepted him. Showed him love.
Showed him love. I'm
The
telling you,
the prodigal son.
people don't believe that about somebody who's hurting or or somebody who feels disconnected. If you just do something nice, if you just smile at somebody instead of looking like a sourpuss driving down the road. Wave at somebody instead of flying birds everywhere. I'm just telling you, love, it changes so many things.
But love does not always mean acceptance. You can't accept.
That is true,
you can't,
too.
Just to put it
That
on
is
there,
true.
you can love the person and not accept their sin and lifestyle, but you can still love them.
Right.
You don't
Right.
have to accept what they do, and you can tell them, "Hey, man, let's
I don't
look
agree
at
with
this.
it.
Let's talk about this. Let's analyze this, but still love them and do it in a nurturing way." And I think so many times today, especially Christians, just like to point, be like,
And
"Bro,
be
I love you," but
judgmental.
da 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 da, and you're like, "Bro, what part of love is that?"
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying accept what I do, but what I'm saying is let's discuss it, because if you're going to come hammering me down, then I'm just going to kick back.
Sometimes you can agree to disagree
All the
without
time.
hollering, screaming, yelling, throwing whatever tantrum you're trying to throw in the midst of it.
I agree. So
So-
what
Okay.
happens at this church?
We just kept going back every weekend and getting to know the people and kept consistent with that.
And what kind of church is this?
Methodist.
Methodist church.
Methodist.
Yep.
Okay.
And like it was fulfilling, and in that time met my current wife through some friends, and that was amazing. And she had to come in and deal with my mess. I'm still getting a divorce because in North Carolina you can't divorce until you wait a full year.
12 months, brother.
We were dealing with that nonsense.
And longer if they won't sign.
I had my 2 kids. She had a daughter that I adopted, and later on, but yeah, just and then somehow I don't even know how it happened. Like again, looking for a purpose, I started hanging out with the youth group, the kids, a bunch of teenagers. Some of them are a mess, some of them are put together, but like they were awesome because I could go in and have fun. They didn't care about who I was or what I did. They cared about like hanging out with me, having fun, me being real with them, being honest. And
It was like a no judgment zone.
yeah. Yeah, and I got to kind of be a kid, you
Yeah.
know? I never really got to be a kid, and like here, like, yeah, I'm 30 years old now, but like I get to act like a kid, and it's okay, and it's fun. And did that, ended up volunteering as with the youth, and then became the youth director there, still as a volunteer. My wife and I moved here. Well, we got married around that time. We were getting ready to move to Raleigh because she got a really good job offer. And all I was doing at that time was I went back to college and was taking a bunch of psychology classes, trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And she gets an awesome job offer, and she takes it, and we decide to move up here to Raleigh. I stayed with the kids to finish out the school year. We had to leave the church. That was the hardest part about moving. And then we ended up all moving up here, and we got married down there on a rainy night at a jail because
Jail.
because
That's a story.
we needed to buy a house up here. I had the VA loan. She had the income. So we did it without telling her family because we had already planned our wedding. And my wife wanted this big wedding, and she got it, but it was months away.
Yeah.
So we went.
But you had to do that to get to the house.
Yeah, so we went and did that with 2 of our friends from the church one night, and got married, and everything worked out. We came up here, got our house, but I got up here and I needed to find purpose again. Found a job at another Methodist church. Actually, they were hiring one, and it was for a youth minister position. So I went in and I applied and told them a little bit about my past, and they said, yeah, we think we want to give you the job. Why don't you come meet the kids and hang out? We're having a pool party. I was like, well, there's something you got to understand. If I'm going to have my shirt off, I'm covered in tattoos, and they're not necessarily church-friendly tattoos. I got a bunch of devils and skulls and different things on me. And she's like, that's perfectly fine. I was like, okay, cool.
Okay.
So that was my first impression with these kids. And again, they just attracted to me, like playing, especially the boys, because I roughhouse and I mess around and I joke around. And you don't get that with a lot of like preachers and ministers a lot of the time. So it was something different. I spoke to them different. I always told the kids, because I remember being a teenager, I didn't want anything to do with God. And so I approached it a different way. I was like, we're here to have fun. I'm not here to teach you about God. I'm here to teach you about a set of rules and principles that if you follow them, your life will be better.
There you go.
And teach you about love, because that's all that matters, is loving each other, loving yourself. And if we can work on that, we can learn the rest later. And I think they like that approach. But I didn't love working for the church is different than volunteering. I didn't love the politics of it. And
People do not realize,
There's a lot of politics.
especially, and some Christians, a lot of non-Christians, but they always point because of the fallacies that are in a church. But number one, church is a business.
Yes.
Okay, it is a business. It takes money to run it. It takes money to keep the doors open. It takes money to feed the homeless. It takes money for everything a church does.
Absolutely.
So the first thing about a church is it's a business. But a church has, to me, 2 layers. It has the business church, and then you have the spiritual church. The spiritual church has no walls because we are the church. And that's what Jesus talks about all the time, is us being in the church. But when you have to have a place to congregate, there's going to be politics, especially when you have 2 or 3 leaders. One person wants to do it this way. One person wants to do it this way. One person doesn't like the way you're doing it. One person gets jealous. And because we're humans, our carnal self loves to get involved in the politics. And I will say that I have never been to a church that didn't have politics. But I think the reason I like the church I'm at right now so much is our pastor doesn't play politics. I've never, and I'm not knocking any pastor in this nation, don't get me wrong, but our pastor's kind of pastor. I remember one of the first Sundays I went, Randy, we had a music minister. They had cheated on his wife. And so Chad calls him up on the stage and he says, biblically, I have to call this man out because he's a pastor. He's no longer going to be a pastor of his church. However, he's going to stay at his church with his wife. They're going to reconcile their marriage. And this church is going to love them and pray for them. And he did what the Bible says do. He didn't try to embarrass them, but he went up there and prayed for them. He loved them. He basically showed them that kind of love that, hey, you're going through this and you can't be in leadership. However, we're going to still be your family. And it was about 2 weeks later, I go back and they've hired a new music pastor. And everybody in the church is complaining because they got used to the old music pastor. So they liked his style of music. And this new guy's playing this crazy stuff like that nobody knew. And Chad, I remember, man, and I ain't been going to church 2 or 3 times. He said, I need y'all to tell y'all something before we start service today. If you send me another email about music or you don't like the music we're playing, leave. Don't come back. And I'm sitting there going, wow, like, what is that? Like, you're telling people to leave your church. He's like, because the Bible I read says that we send music to praise God, to edify Jesus, to edify God. It says nowhere in there we're singing music to edify you.
That's right. Amen.
So if you're worried about edifying yourself more than you are edifying the God I serve, this is not the church for you. Bro, I knew right then I liked this church. And I have on countless occasions heard him say stuff like, don't send me an email about the color of the carpet. If Jesus wants it changed, he'll let me know. Like stuff like that. He knocks the politics out. And the other thing I like is, like I remember when I was younger, when I did go to church with Grandma like you, the Baptist church always had on the board, this much was donated this week, this much is how much we spent, but you never saw where it was spent and stuff like that. And I love our church that we go to because they do a monthly report, and you can see where every dime is. They don't hide anything. And I think when you're open like that, people might not like it. They might not like what we're spending money on. They might not like the carpet. They might not like the music. However, there's no politics because we're not debating it.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, this isn't the place for you. You're not going to like everything that we do. Therefore, if we can talk about it and then we just keep going, that cuts the politics out. And I think when you get in a church with politics, and usually I've noticed that when there are politics, it's usually 2 or 3 factions. There's this little group of people and this little group of people and maybe a third group of people, and they're always warring for power. And, I think that is destroyed more churches, politics, than anything else. And I mean even modern politics. The BLM movement, liberals, Republicans, views on homosexuality, like politics in general, are destroying the church instead of focusing on the Bible and Jesus and stuff like that.
God already knew who was going to be the president. I mean, he already knew who he was putting where, when he was going to put them. We just need to pray for him. I mean, I hate to say that, and I know people will disagree with me when I say that, but if, in Jeremiah, he says, I know the plans that I have made for you. And if you believe that, then you already know that he knows what he's doing. He's a mastermind. He controls it all.
Well, if he knew every head on your head before you were born.
Exactly.
He already knows the day of your death and where he already knows the future.
100%.
And that's I don't understand how people can say, I believe God and I believe he's omnipotent and I believe he knows everything. But I can't believe that's the president. I can't believe God put him in power. God didn't put him in power. Man put him in power.
Right.
But God knew he was going to be in power.
That's right.
And there's a reason he's there. Whether I liked Obama, irrelevant.
That's
Had
right.
to pray for him. Well, I like Clinton, irrelevant. Had to pray, for him.
him.
Whether I like Trump, irrelevant. Got to pray for him.
him.
It doesn't matter if I like him. Now, I can stand up and support things and take my stance and do it like I should do. And you should. You should always take a side, a stance, and stand firm in what you believe. But in the big game, it doesn't matter because God already knew it was going to be that way if you believe in God.
That's right.
And, he already knew what was going to happen and who was going to be in power. He already knew who the Pope was going to be this year. He already knew who the FIFA World Cup champion was.
Yeah.
Have they finished that yet? Well, he knows who it's going to be.
Yeah.
So if you're betting on futures, talk to God. He'll let you know.
Yes, 100%.
So what happened with this church?
So this is in Raleigh for, I guess, a few years at this point. Just had our fifth kid, me and my wife had 2 kids together, but had her daughter that I adopted and my 2 kids.
1, and now 2 more.
Yeah.
So we got 5.
Yep. And I had also during that time started Granite Construction Services.
Mm-hmm.
So I was starting to get really busy, didn't need the extra money. And I told the pastor at the church that I wanted to go back to just being a volunteer. I want to be here to have fun with the kids. If they still want me to do counseling with the kids, I'm fine with that. I just don't want a paycheck. I don't want to be doing all the admin stuff. Like, I don't want to do that. And they pretty much said that if I didn't want the job, that they didn't need my help.
Oh, wow.
So that was
Wow.
the last. Well, that was the
That's
last
gotta be
day.
hard.
Yeah. So we left the church. My wife went back for a funeral because somebody passed away that week. That we were an older member that we were friends with, and I stayed with the kids. She went to the funeral, and everybody snubbed her. So I was like, okay, we're not welcome here anymore, apparently. So
Just
that one-
because you didn't, I don't know any church that would not want to pay someone to.
Or you get it
help
free.
That's what I'm saying. You got a free youth pastor, but you're going to tell him to go on about his business?
It's because he didn't want to handle basically he didn't want to be under somebody's thumb.
Yeah.
And if a lot of places, not just churches, businesses that cannot control you don't want you. If they cannot control you, if they cannot dictate what's going on, they don't want you. They don't see you as a viable part of their organization. And I hate to say
Wow.
it, but that's the politics of some churches. Not all, just some churches. And
Okay.
that's the human side of it. And I mean sincerely, that's the human side of it. You have some bosses that can subjugate work, and you have other bosses that can't. And if you can't stay under their thumb and do it exactly how they want it done, then you just don't fit in.
That's a control thing.
It is. But some businesses you have to have a lot of control. With some businesses you don't. A church is one where you got to give God all the control.
Correct.
And then when you see that something is anti-biblical or anti-God, then you step in and say, okay, this person doesn't need to be in this position, or this isn't biblical. And that's when you step in. But short of that, you let God have the control. So, I mean,
So now you're at a crossroads.
somebody got, somebody got butt hurt.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
And now you're at a crossroads
Yeah.
because
Well, now
He's
you're
been
being
through-
scarred by the church.
that's what I'm saying. He's been through all this to get to a good place, and now the one place that makes him happy just flipped on him and his family.
But
Yeah.
God didn't flip on it.
That's right. God didn't do it. People did it.
And what did he say earlier? I made choices. I didn't. These people make choices. Everybody
Yes.
makes choices. I made choices. You made choices.
Yes.
And that's why we tried a few different churches with the family, didn't find one that we really fit in, and it just kind of went by the wayside. And like one thing that helped me through it was like it hurt, it sucked, but always knowing that like the church is not a physical place, it's not any group of people. You know, you can have church by yourself, you can have church with your friends. You don't have to be in a physical building. And also something one of my friends told me was, you know, the devil will give you victories to get you to turn away from God.
Oh,
So
shit.
I made sure that, like he said, his example was, you wish for a fishing boat, you get a fishing boat. Now instead of going to church on Sunday, you go fishing. And so that was always in the back of my mind as my company started to grow and our family was growing, and like all these things are going on, like all these positive things in our lives that like I need to not let, you know, make sure that I'm following the right person, following God, not following the devil, not taking advantage of the right or the wrong opportunities, not forcing things, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the politics of the church just kind of soured me on physical churches. And I still haven't went back. My daughters are going, and I support them in it 100%. I have nothing against churches at all, so I want to be clear about that. It's just I spend my time with my families on Sunday, and like that's where I prioritize myself. The way I pray to God or talk to God is probably different than a lot of people do, but I feel good about what I'm doing, and everything hasn't been perfect. Like we had to skip through quite a bit. I've made mistakes since I got saved, and but I did get baptized at that First Methodist church, and my kids did, and I proposed to my wife during my other daughter's baptism, and like all these things happened at the church. I still miss our church in Wilmington that we went to, and it's cool seeing the kids grow up and do all these things and following them. Like the 4th of July was amazing. We see a post on Facebook, one of my youth kids, I don't know if you saw the flyover in DC and the fireworks and everything on DC on the 4th of July.
I see it.
He was piloting one of those planes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that was pretty awesome. And then, then we got hit with a low last week. One of our kids took his own life, and we got to go.
To the funeral Monday.
To the funeral.
Yep,
Yep.
go deal with that.
So
But-
let me back up though. I want to ask you about that because I know that's going to bother you.
Yep.
But I heard, and I could be totally off key here, that after he died, there was a letter found.
Yeah, something to do with some letters about whether I'm not clear whether he wrote them in youth group or wrote them after that, but about how it had a big impact on his life. And it makes me sad that he didn't reach out, because I have never changed my phone number. I still have a Wilmington phone number living in Raleigh, because I always said if anybody ever needs to get a hold of me, I want them to have my number. And I've never changed it.
Do you think he was saved?
Yeah.
Okay, so that being said, and that's always the first question on my mind when there's death involved, but I don't want you to get to the point where, because I know it's bothering you really bad, I've talked to you a couple times, but where you think this is your fault and you just made a statement, I don't know why he didn't reach out. You planted a seed, brother. Somebody watered that seed, and somewhere during that journey, that seed grew into a plant.
Yeah.
Because he got saved, so he produced fruit. And then there came a time in his life, for whatever reason, that God said it's time to harvest this plant. That has nothing to do with you. You can't control that. And I'm being honest, Randy, you can't control that. So, I just, as a father that's lost and grieved, this kid took the time to write a letter that said you made a huge impact on his life. This kid took time to say how much you meant to him and his growth and his walk. This kid is probably in heaven today in large part to the seed that you planted, to what you did. And we can't see tomorrow like we just said. So how do you not know that this kid a year from now was not going to experience some of the most horrific situations and maybe turn away from God, commit blasphemy or whatever? I mean, There's no way for us to know. But we know that right now we know where he is. And a large that is important to the seeds you planted. So I know it's hard on you, but when I heard about the letters, that just tells me that even though you're not in the church now, and even though you got ostracized by somebody in a church, that if there was nothing else that happened in your youth ministry, you found one.
You found one. You got your one. And whatever you did got through to him.
It got through. And there's no telling, and I got to where I have to find positive in things, but there's no telling how many people might get reached from his death. If his parents take that death, and I don't know where their walk is, but they're like, hey.
They're great people that invited me into the church.
Okay, so hey, we know where our son is. And it's hard, and it doesn't get easy, and there's no way you can sit here and look at any parent that's lost a child and say, oh, you'll survive. Yeah, we'll survive with a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of crying nights. Life will never be the same. But if they take this loss and they can plant a seed in one child that's thinking about killing themselves, and even if they can't stop the suicide, but they can get that child to turn to Jesus before it, then they got their one. And that's this whole podcast when we started was always about the one, always. And I think you've heard me and Amy tell the story about the one kid that we went to that got saved through Alex's testimony, and a year later committed suicide.
Yeah,
But man, Alex planted that seed and he won't even hear.
that's right.
So there's no telling, even through this podcast, or, you know, maybe you get back in touch with family. I mean, I don't, you know, God has plans, I don't. But there's no telling, man, how many people could get seeds planted from the untimely death that he experienced. And, you know, that's I think, as a Christian, as a believer, whether you're in church on Sunday or having church at your house on Sunday, we have to find those positives. And we have to utilize what the devil meant for evil for good, because that's what the Bible says. Everything works, all things, all things
Romans 12:21.
work for the glory of good, to God for good.
Overcome evil with good.
Yep. And so, you know, I just think those letters are so cool, man, that, you know, not only did you get a chance to know that you had an impact in this kid's life while he was here, but that you had such an impact that you were one of the reasons he's probably going to heaven. And, man, I mean, I don't think there's any greater calling on anybody's life than salvation. Like, if you can help, which only Jesus can provide salvation, but if you can help lead somebody to the well, or you can influence people in such a way that you can lead them to Jesus, man, no matter what happens after that, it's really, I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm just saying it's irrelevant in the scheme of things. Because what are we at the most going to be here 80 years, 85 years? Some people, I know one guy that just lived to 100, but he's getting ready to leave. So let's say 100 years. This kid lived what? How old was this kid roughly? Early 20s, teens,
Yeah,
early 20s. So this kid lost what? 60% of what he might have been here for, and he's still there for eternity. So in the scheme of things, to me, man, I hope that, I know Monday's going to be hard. I think you're going Monday to the funeral.
Yep.
I know it's going to be hard on you, man, but I hope that at that funeral, man, I hope that I just hope there's somebody else there that needs touching. There's another kid there, because if he's that young, he's going to have friends there that ain't saved. You know, there'll be a large community there. And this was the first church, right, where you volunteered.
Yep. And it's going to be all my church family.
So you'll see all of them there again. And, you know, sometimes God brings a reunion in.
Exactly. That's what I was getting ready to say. Sometimes, you know, like, just looking at your path walk, your walk right now, and how somebody, you know, you're not mad at the church or anything, but they kind of did you wrong. Somebody at the church did you wrong, but now you're going back to the church that feels like home.
And that's the first place he went when he remembered his grandma.
That's right. And, you know, that's how God works. When he wants you to see something and you don't want to see it, he's going to pull you to it. So I know this might sound a little weird, but maybe this boy's bringing you back.
You never know.
Yeah.
Because God
You never know.
wants you to see something.
You definitely
or
never know.
to be somewhere. I mean, yeah, I mean, you never know. But I don't think anything happens by accidents or just by chance. I think that, you know, a lot of times, if you're not willing to slow down, God's going to slow you down. If you're not willing to bend your knee, he'll bend it for you. And
Well, you got to go back to church next week.
What?
He's got to go back to church.
That's right. That's right.
He's got to go back to church next
He's
week.
got to go back to church. So I honestly believe that God's like, okay, I'm going to put you there. And it's I don't know what he's opening your eyes about. I mean, I would, if it was me, I'd be praying for some confirmation and some wisdom and clarity on what he's trying to show. But it's something powerful.
I told you you know, the first time I come on this podcast, on his Stay Broke podcast, and me and you've had this conversation, I'm like, I really like this guy. He's different. Like, he's weird now, don't get me wrong. Like, he's not like the normal people that I associate with, because he's more quiet. He's a big old dude. Like, you know that somewhere in there there's going to be some kind of scars. You can just tell. Mm-hmm. Because I have them. But I'm like, you know, I told him, I said, I like it. And the more I talked to Randy, I'm like, man, I really think there's a reason we got together. And, you know, here we are at this 8th podcast. And, you know, man, every time we've done one, there's been somebody in that podcast that's the one. Even the one, you know, with Glenn a while ago, I mean, his daughter to me was the one. We talk about his daughter and how you should, and then she calls on the phone.
You don't think that wasn't a God thing?
100%.
That was God
It's funny,
working overtime.
You had walked off and Glenn said that. He said, "Oh, you won't stand here when he said that, I don't think."
No.
Because he said, "Man, he said, I don't know what kind of sixth sense she has." He said, "But we'll be going to the beach and she'll call up and go, y'all on the way to the beach? We'll be going to dinner. She'll call up and go, y'all going out to get something to eat?" And she's, you know, an hour and a half away. Mm-hmm. He's like, she knows. I'm like, bro, that's just God. God and her probably got a little relationship, Bo, because she has a pure heart. Like, her heart is pure. everybody has their own beliefs on the Bible, but I think people that don't develop fully mentally are always going to be children, and I think all children go to heaven. I just do. I think that the pure at heart go to heaven. I think until you get to the age of reconciliation, you can't go to hell. And I have a hard time believing that there are babies in hell. I literally cannot. I don't see anything in the Bible that says that, how you can send an innocent child to hell. Now, once you get to the age of reconciliation, you know, difference in right and wrong and salvation and not salvation, and your mind can process it, then I get it. Then you make your choices. And that's why I said it's usually about 12. You know, there's no set age, but I think 12 is the proverbial time when kids now, they got to start making choices. You know, the hormones start hitting and they know. But I still, man, I think it's so cool that's, you know, and there could have been 100 or 1,000, I don't know. But I know at least one, Randy, that you made a difference in, and I just love that, man. And honestly, if you ever do go back to church, I couldn't leave here without telling you come check out Cross Assembly.
Absolutely.
I mean, you'll love our dancers. We're right beside the Gentlemen's Club. I mean, we got some awesome dancers, man. And our church is the most, and I'm being honest, we got people in there in flip-flops and tank tops. Yeah. And we got people in there dressed to the nine. But I love it, and I'll tell you why I love it. You said something earlier about you had never really experienced culture. 85 to 90% of the people you come from were one color, and all the same type of people doing the same jobs. We have a multicultural church.
Absolutely.
We have every ethnicity
you can think of.
Ukrainian, Russian,
Yes.
Chinese, Japanese, American, Spanish, Indonesian. I bet we got some Inuits in that mug, and maybe have one or two Aborigines. And I'm not being funny, but we got it because we're a mission-based church, so we send people all over the world.
So we build up and we send
them out.
And that is my promo for Cross Assembly.
And Chad, we're looking at sponsors. So if Cross Assembly would like to sponsor, drop that boom.
And we are here to build up and send out.
Yeah.
What is it? Globally,
Global,
nationally,
it's
and locally.
locally and globally. Yep.
I just said it backwards.
Yeah, you said it though.
But we say it every Sunday, so like
Chad's
if you
big
don't know
on
that
that.
spiel.
But we do, like one of our pastors just got back from a month in China. China. We got a group that just went over to Africa. We got a group that just come back from Canada. We got a group that went last year to South America. Like they go all over, bro. And our youth group, I'm not gonna lie, is massive.
Yeah.
Bro, it's like
You would really like the youth group.
They have their own church.
They have their own their own
They have their
building,
own auditorium.
their own section.
They do their own music.
Yes.
They do their own lights. They do their own singing. Like they have their whole youth
their own
church.
band.
Yeah.
It's high school church. And then
Yeah.
I guess for under high school, all those ages, they have like all the rooms. But it's growing. I will say that. So if y'all ever want to just come check out a wild church, don't get me wrong, bro. There's some yelling and some crying and some clapping and some dancing, and every now and then you'll see somebody with a flag. But I think they keep those down.
And our church is also online too.
Oh yeah, every Sunday.
So every Sunday.
3 services.
Yep. All 3 services is online.
Which is the best thing about church today, because if you don't go, you can still get fed.
Yeah.
In social media today, you can still listen to great pastors. And, you know, when we were coming along, even when Amy was coming along, you couldn't, if you want to hear something on the church, you had to go get a cassette tape. And it was a couple months before you could find one after a sermon. Now you can have a sermon an hour after it happens. And now we can go back and watch some of the greats like Missler and Adrian Rogers and some of the great pastors of the past preaching. And I mean, it's just globally now, and I love it because a lot of people don't go to church.
Yeah.
A lot of people do what you do. And they kind of
A lot of people get
they have their relationship
offended or
with-
hurt by the relationships.
and they have a relationship with
someone in the
God,
church.
and that's what they concentrate on. But,
Yep.
you know, it's still good to get fed the word, you know, to me. And it's still
Well,
good to listen
you
to
know,
Christian
the
music.
Being
only
around
thing-
like-minded people.
Well,
That's
it's
what I was
iron
gonna
sharpens
say.
iron, man.
You know, that's what I was going to say. You know, sometimes I think it's just being in the environment.
Yeah.
Just being able to be in there and to, you know, feel the spirit moving, because if you're in the right spot and the spirit's moving, it's just overwhelming.
It is. And the more that you have that are
the
spiritual.
best feeling.
Well, I'm saying the more spiritual people you have in one room, the more the spirit grows. And I know that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, not being funny, but
Where we are gathered in His name, He will be
if
there
you go to a
also.
concert and there's 2 people there, it's like, wow. If you go to a concert and there's 20 people there, it's like, eh. If you go to a concert and there's 200 people there, then there's some energy. You go to a concert and there's 20,000 people there. That
Yeah.
mug is rocking. Like
Absolutely.
and it's the same around Christians. When Christians get around Christians, or when believers get around believers, and I don't want to use the word Christians because that knocks out a lot of people. But when
Just
you get around believers,
Yes.
when you get around believers, man, when that spirit moves, you know, you don't have to be at a church. Like I said, a church is not the walls. That's a building. A church is not the building.
Yeah.
But it does help to get in that building sometimes and just be around people, man. I can't ever say I go to church and come out feeling bad. Like, literally.
Right.
And I can't say I go, like, to religious events with a bunch of my buddies that are, you know, somewhat spiritual. But we're all, especially my buddies, we're all different. So, but I can't say when we leave, I don't always feel uplifted and happy. Like, man, I don't ever leave feeling depressed. But I can go to a lot of places and leave like, man, I wasted my day, da-da-da-da-da. So, but yeah, if y'all ever get ready to come, man, you come hang out with us. We're the black sheep of the church. By far, we're the weirdos. We have our own little space in the top corner. We hide. We still hide.
Yeah.
And we sit around some other weirdos.
But I do think that actually is a great ending for this podcast, because God brings you back where you should be, and now he's got to go back to church.
He's got to go back to church.
He's got to go back to church.
To the first place he remembered finding happiness. I love that.
Yes. Yes.
Randy might be that church's one. See, I love the one. I just don't want that.
Yeah.
But again, Cross Assembly, we are looking sponsors. I'm just letting you know that, Chad. But, and I don't know if I told you. I might have told you. So we got 2 pastors from our church coming on the podcast in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the head pastor, Chad, is coming on.
Awesome.
Which I don't even know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to sit and listen. 'Cause
I think we should bring Darla on with him. I really do.
I don't think Darla's going to come on the podcast.
I bet Darla would. I
don't
bet you
think
would.
so.
Somebody got to keep Chad in line. That's why Darla sits on the front row like this. And Chad, if Chad gets out of line, it's funny. He'll get out of line. He'll make sure to look away from Darla. I see it, man. I can see. He won't say it, but I can see it because I know Darla's down there going. She keeps him in line, brother.
She's
So
funny.
what-
You
so
know
what's-
what? You got to have a strong woman.
So before we
behind a
leave, though, what's in the
hard-headed man.
future for Stay Broke? What's in the future for Randy? What do you?
Stay Broke is just getting started. We're going where the road takes us. Like I said, I don't force stuff. I had an idea. I need to find purpose, and this is a way for me to keep that purpose driven, helping small businesses, helping other people build up and do what they want to do, and doing it honestly, because there's so many, you don't know who to trust. Everybody's advertising for helping, we'll help you with your podcast. You know, you don't know who to trust anymore, and making those connections and building a network. That's the biggest thing we're trying to do, and just going for the ride and having fun doing it.
That's looking for the one.
Yeah.
I can tell you who not to trust. Redheads. Don't trust redheads.
Yeah.
Don't trust
You're teaching me that.
Yeah, don't trust redheads.
Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. Thank you.
All right. That's
But
it.
I guess if I could say,
Yeah.
my biggest message is, it's never too late to start over.
Oh, nice.
That's what I want my story to be. You know, I started this new path when I was 30, or well, at 29. I think I went into rehab when I was 29, right before I turned 30. And I've built this amazing life, amazing family, and it hasn't been a straight line to get there. It's bumps and bruises along the way and mistakes along the way, and I'll never be perfect, and I'm okay with that. But I almost died more than a couple times from choices I made, and I feel like I was here for a reason, and I find purpose in helping other people.
Yeah, I like that.
Purpose
It's
and helping.
always about helping
purpose and
someone
helping
else.
other people. Are you sure help that boy?
I believe that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. All right. Well, I guess we're going to close out episode 8
Awesome.
with
Thanks
that
for having
thought.
me.
And don't trust redheads.
Drop that boom, drop that boom.